What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. And don't worry, this won't be the last one before Christmas because I will be back tomorrow night as well. So don't worry about that. We will be chatting to each other hopefully on Christmas Eve. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to go through today. We're going to be speaking about Liverpool doing a little bit of January shopping. We're going to be speaking about Trent. We're going to be speaking about Luis Diaz. We're going to be giving you some insights from the game at the weekend. A little bit about Martin Zubimendi as well and why that may or may not be dead. The deal, I should say. And a few other bits and pieces along the way. But as always, if there's anything particularly you want us to cover, throw it into the chat and we'll do our best to get there. I want to start off the stream, and anybody watching back, this applies to you guys as well. Thank you so much for an incredible 2024 on the channel. Really looking forward to see what 2025 has in store, but hopefully it has league title number 20 in store, which I firmly believe will be coming our way. So right, where do we want to go tonight? First of all, ladies and gentlemen, Jamie said, like the Baileys in my cocoa. I don't like Baileys. Never been a fan of it, mate. It's I don't know what it is. I just don't like it. My wife likes it, but not me, unfortunately. Well, I don't know if it is unfortunately. I just don't like it. So right, any transfers, Mo Virgil Trent contracts. Right, so I didn't ask David Lynch today about the transfer or the contract situation because there's nothing going to change really. If anything is going to happen, we're going to find out about it in the next couple of days. So yeah, look, I don't expect any big breaking news other than a potential post eventually to say that these contracts are done. But we will talk through them tonight and give you an indication, particularly around Trent's, where some things are starting to come out that might make this situation a little bit clearer. And we'll try and pick the bones out of that as well. So let's start with Zubimendi, if I may, ladies and gentlemen, because Real Sociedad's sporting director has been speaking a little bit, and in speaking, he's kind of given an insight into why it may be now or never for Zubimendi. So let me read through what he's had to say and I'll give you my take on it. So he did say, Zubimendi has a release clause, yes, but it's always been the player to decide whether he's showing his commitment to our project. So far, we've seen how he's behaved, and I don't predict any scares in January for Zubimendi to leave. So here's my take on this one, right? I'm of the mindset very firmly that we need to bring in a midfielder in January. And I don't believe that we have the luxury of waiting around to see if Zubimendi changes his mind or not. I'm very firmly in the camp that if Zubimendi doesn't want to come in January, then we move on from Martin Zubimendi and we just leave that one in the dust, because the last thing I want to do is come on here in March or April and us all to be talking about a faltering title challenge because of an injury or a fatigue and not having the available options in midfield. Speaking with David Lynch earlier on as well, the video's up for you to have a look at yourself, but I think he agrees with me on this one. It needs to be addressed in January, and if Zubimendi isn't going to change his mind or doesn't want to come, then so be it. We move on and we go elsewhere. I just don't think we can afford to sit back and let this one go past January. It would be foolish of us, and I think it would make us look rather weak as well. So who knows what he's going to do next summer? Who knows if he changes his mind or wants to go elsewhere? But I want to know, is it now or never for Martin Zubimendi at Liverpool? And I'm going to put it into the first poll of the night, if that's okay. So bear with me. So, one sec. So the way I'm going to ask this is it January or never for Zubimendi to join Liverpool? And I think a simple yes or no will be easy enough on this one. So let me know by voting what you think. And of course, feel free to throw some comments in as well. Right, let me get a couple of comments up on screen. 1 second. This one, firstly. Good 2024. Let's hope 2025 is just as good. Michael Welch, thank you, mate. Appreciate that, and appreciate your membership of the channel, mate, as well. Hippo Critics said, question, do you think Arna doesn't rate Kwanzaa? I find it hard to say that he doesn't, because remember, he started the season giving Kwanzaa the nod at centre-back. Now, I don't know whether that was purely just around him thinking that Ibu hasn't had a full pre-season or whatever, but I don't think I could say with any kind of confidence that he doesn't rate Kwanzaa. Now, he might not think he's progressed as much as he would have wanted, or maybe he's not shown the right attitude on the training pitch or whatever. That I can't speak to. But no, I think Kwanzaa isn't getting chances because when he has got them, I don't think he's taken the opportunities this season, in all honesty. And I'll be honest with you, I feel a bit more nervy when he's playing these days than I did last season. You know, maybe I'm on my own on that. Maybe people agree. I don't know. I wouldn't be writing him off long term, though. Let me say that. You know, I still think there is more development to come from Jarell Kwanzaa, but it's probably just reaffirmed to me that we may need to look to another centre-back. Carlos, thank you, sir, and appreciate your super chat, mate. Said, hey Craig, hope you and the family have a lovely Christmas. Thank you, same to you and yours, Carlos. We picked up the Christmas cookie pie today, the whole pie. It is a thing to behold, and I'm going to be doing some unspeakable things to that over the course of Christmas. Yes, yeah, it's very, very calorific to say the least, which is not what I need, but hey, look, it's Christmas, isn't it? So look, the Zubimendi thing is up there, and we'll leave you guys vote away on that, and we'll come back to it in a second. But there is a lot of stuff to get through tonight. Before I get into the big stories, I just want to wait for the chat to fill up a little bit. But while we're here, let's talk about Manchester United for a second, because just when you think you were done laughing at them, well, there's more laughing to be done. So this was posted from Mike Keegan, who I believe is the Daily Mail. Said, Manchester United have been hit by a mice infestation at Old Trafford. Droppings were discovered on a recent visit by hygiene inspectors, and the club was slapped with a 2-star rating, which is well short of the maximum 5. The club are working with pest control to sort this out. I mean, roof leaking in press conferences, roof leaking in stadium. So, we've got a little bit of the start of a Christmassy song for them. So, to the tune of Merry Christmas, everyone, it's ceilings falling all around us, 2-star rating, hygiene none, 'tis the season. I'll let you finish the rest of it though, right? So yeah, just when you thought you couldn't get another little chuckle at Manchester United, there you go. Mice infestation, which, you know, if the raw chicken wasn't enough for them, now they've got mice in the kitchens and whatnot. So there you go. Madness. Makes you grateful though for small mercies, doesn't it? And what's happening with Liverpool. It's mad. You know, you think maybe the cost cutting measures. Yeah. It's almost sad, really, to see how far. Because when I was growing up, right, and I think a lot of you guys in the chat and girls are probably similar age to me. Maybe some of you don't remember, but when I was growing up, Old Trafford was like a spaceship. You know, it was the most modern football ground that other clubs aspired to do. And I remember paying a visit there when I was, it must have been 25 years ago maybe, and just thinking like, wow. And now you look at it and it just shows you how quickly modern stadiums can fall away, because it's absolutely looking old and jaded, and they've a lot of work to do, and that club is just in a place where I say even worse than maybe we were in years gone by. It's the money they've spent, they're not looking anywhere close to getting back. And Amarim looks like they're already talking about maybe changing the system. Neville's saying, they might need to change the system. But you just brought in Amarim to play that system. I mean, God, it's mental. Harry Klein, thank you, bro. Said, Merry Christmas. It's been a long year. I still miss Klopp, thanks to him. We have a great group of lads, and now Slotball has led us to great games. Hopefully we see VVD and Salah contracts done. Trent, listen to Klopp and learn from Coutinho. Yes, I agree with all of that, mate. I'm glad that Klopp left him when he did. I felt like it was the right time, and I liked how it was handled, as I've said many times. So it led us to Arne. Arne, I think, is going to kick us on a little bit more and get even more out of those good players that Klopp did let him inherit. So yeah, well done all around there on that one, Harry, and thank you very much. Paul said, where are we shopping, Poundland or Harrods? Well, that, sir, is the question that I don't have the answer to. We will talk about what we're going to be shopping for. We'll get to that in a second, Paul, my man. But yeah, I don't know, mate. What's middle ground in England, by the way? Because I know over here I'd say like Little or Aldi versus Marks and Spencers, but I don't know what the middle ground would be in the UK. James Delay, how are you, bro? I'll always have a soft spot now for James forever for sending me those pretzel M&Ms, James, and thank you. So they're mice in the kitchen, man. You got to do. It's shocking. It's shocking what's going on there. But just when I think I wake up one day and there won't be a story about them, nope, there always is. Kevin said, Craig, I'm 66. Old Trafford is one ground I've never visited or want to. Well, I'll tell you why I went, mate. So as I've always said to you guys, my extended family, uncles, cousins, they're kind of split between Liverpool fans, United fans, a few Leeds fans in there. There's even an Ipswich fan, believe it or not. But they were going over on a day trip to a League Cup game, and I think it cost like 89 quid or something to go over, boat, ticket, coach. So I said, feck it, I'll go along for a piss up. And that's what it was on this trip. But yeah, it was mad seeing how big it was compared to the old Anfield and how more modern things were. But it just goes to show you, I even have people, Arsenal supporters, saying to me that the Emirates is starting to look a little bit dated as well. And that is a relatively newish stadium. So it is crazy how old football stadiums get very quickly. Craig, have you tried mince pie ice cream? Yes, I have, mate. It's delish. There's loads of cool stuff around Christmas time that I'm all for. Mince pie ice cream is definitely one of them. Dark Elixir said, can we stop talking about Zubimendi? He isn't joining Liverpool, never will. Angelo Stiller should be our top target. Well, on the Zubimendi thing, I think we are coming towards the point where, yes, we will be boxing that one off soon enough, mate. No idea on the Stiller thing, by the way. I'll have to have a look into him. I don't know much about him in all honesty, nor is he a name I've seen mentioned. Sorry, Connor's just messaged me here. Who would you replace Trent with if he leaves, said King C. I've said this all the way through, mate. I haven't even thought about bringing somebody else in or who it might be because I don't want to talk about Trent leaving in my head. I am very much an ostrich with a head in the sand scenario there because I still refuse to believe it might happen, even though I'm very concerned he might leave. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not there yet. I'm thinking about. I know that that's pathetic, by the way, that I should be certainly looking at right backs, but you know, Bradley aside, I haven't really given it much consideration. Mould Trafford, love that, Tony, love that, mate. Well in, Mould Trafford, that's brilliant. Right, so we're starting to get to peak numbers now, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get into the detail, right? Let's talk about it all. Let's start off with a report. Anfield Buzz posted this up earlier on, Credit and Football Insider. And it kind of, to some extent, I can stand over this, but there's one aspect of it that I'm not 100% certain of, but I want to get your opinion on it. So, according to Footy Insider, Liverpool are planning to strengthen Arne Slot's squad in January to help him clinch the 20th league title. The Reds are looking at a new midfielder and a new fullback. And that makes sense. I mean, I think we can all sit here and say the idea of Liverpool looking at a midfielder and a fullback makes sense. But there's something around this that I have to call out, if I may. And I'm calling out Carragher on this one yet again because I think how do I say this? On TV in America, Jamie Carragher has said something that I know, you know, and he certainly has to know is not going to be the case. So I want to read it out to you. He was speaking about our left-back situation and who he thinks Liverpool are going to move for. And he speaks about Robinson of Fulham. This is what he said. He was outstanding. He was the best player on the pitch. When you're going to Anfield and you're playing against Mo Salah, possibly the best player in the Premier League this season, and you come out of it with a Man of the Match award, that shows how highly he's thought of. This is the part that I take well, I have a problem with. Yes, I think Liverpool probably will be shopping for a left back in January, and I'm sure he'll be top of the list. He won't be on the list. Nowhere near the list. Carragher knows this. I know this. David Lynch knows this. Everybody else knows this. Liverpool Football Club will not be going into the market to sign a player who's going to turn 28 in his next birthday to come in to replace Robbo or Costas. It isn't going to happen. And Cara knows this. So, I don't know if he's over there trying to placate American viewers or blow smoke up their backside or something. But there's absolutely no chance, and many journalists that we've interacted with have told us this, that it's going to be Robinson. None. Zero. So why is he saying it? Because if I know it, and David Lynch knows it, and other journalists know it, he has to know it. So why is he saying it? He knows damn well we ain't signing Robinson, because it would be a huge move away from the way we do transfers. And we aren't bringing in a left back that's about to turn 28. Not a chance. So why is he doing it? Him and Neville have just been saying some stuff lately that just doesn't make sense. You know, Neville, as little as a day and a half ago, was still predicting Arsenal to win the league and go on this run that, you know, Arsenal can go on all the runs they want, but Neville needs to realise we're not going to just fall away. Like, the lack of fucking respect is mental. I like Cara on CBS, said Kieran. Well, if he's going on CBS and saying that, he's lying to people. Because he knows that's not the case. And he knows that he won't be top of the shopping list in January. Because anybody with any ounce of cop on knows that Liverpool won't sign a left back that's going to be 28. One that's older than Costas and a little bit younger than Robbo. And the problem we have is that our great left back is getting a bit old. So why bring in a 28-year-old one? It would just be mental. Anyway, that's one part of this. But the midfield situation is an interesting one. Because when speaking with David Lynch in today's video, I'd said to him, like, would you agree that we need to bring in a midfielder in January? That we can't let it go past January because it's running the risk? And he would agree with that. So if we're looking at January as the time to bring in the midfielder, it gets interesting to try and figure out who that might be. Because I haven't got a clue. You know, we can throw names around like Ederson today. I asked David Lynch again about Ederson because Fabrizio Romano mentioned that Liverpool were scouting Ederson, had sent scouts over to look at him again and again. And David Lynch said to me straight out, every time he brings the name Ederson up to any of his sources or anybody he speaks about, no interest. It's not a name that's ever been given any encouragement. So I don't know where Romano's going with that one, because I believe that to be the case. Because even when Kloppo was here and I was trying to push to find information on Ederson, I was getting the cold shoulder on the name every time I was speaking to everybody about it. So, you know, these are people who are far better connected than I am saying, no, not on the list. So, again, I think people are just pulling a fast one at the minute. And, you know, I don't know who that's going to be, by the way. Samuel Ricci, maybe. Baleba, maybe. I guess the problem with Baleba would be you'd have to pay a pretty hefty fee to get him out. Excuse me. Someone said Atlanta won't sell Ederson in January. He's in the title race. Again, mate, agree, but also there's no interest there from us by the looks of it. Cherky will fit perfectly. How? Like, do please explain that one to me, because I asked David Lynch about this as well earlier on. I don't see how Cherky makes any sense in January for a couple of reasons. One, we don't have space. Two, I don't know if we have any need to spend the type of money to bring him in a position we don't need to really fill at this moment in my eyes. You know, you can agree on a certain amount of things. That one, right profile, absolutely understand that. Right age bracket, talented enough, but we just don't need him. And I'm even seeing journalists now, while writing their stories, kind of, again, surprising themselves by going, why are we constantly being linked to attacking players when that's not a position that we need to fill? Like, our front line's boxed off. When Mo signs his contract, you know, we're golden. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with Federico Chiesa long term, but for now, we've got 6 and Jadon Danns. Just no space for Turkey. So yeah, I don't know on that one. Like, speaking with David about it, I mean, I think it's coming from the French side a lot because Lyon need to free up money because they could be relegated because of the financial trouble that they're in. So they need to free up money. So I think maybe throwing Liverpool's name in for Turkey, a player who I've no doubt we've looked at and are monitoring, but I just don't think it's the right timing for that transfer to happen. Did you get your Emma mattress? Yes, Christine, we did. It arrived, I want to say Thursday, and then you have to give it 3 days. So we've had 2 nights sleep on it so far, and yeah, I gotta say, so far, not too shabby. Wharton of Palace is an interesting shout, Jonesy lad. Weirdly though, the club I've seen most linked to Adam Wharton is Manchester City, but I think the plan there was to look at him in the summertime. Now I don't know if Manchester City have pushed forward those plans because they're in dire need to bring in bodies in January, and particularly a midfielder, but I think it would take a pretty hefty fee. And what we also did get confirmation of, by the way, on Zubimendi, not that we needed it, was that release clause is still active in his contract. The sporting director of Sociedad said that himself. So it's not going to be that it's not down to the player. It's 100% down to Zubimendi what he wants to do here. If he wants to come to Liverpool or anywhere else, all you have to do is say yes, and then somebody can trigger the clause. But it feels like he's not going to be moving in January. And with that in mind, that's why we asked the poll question tonight. Is it January or never for Zubimendi to join Liverpool? We've already had over 1,000 votes, but I'm going to let it go a little bit longer because I know there's more people coming in that haven't had a chance to vote yet. Right, would love to sign somebody, but this is FSG, not holding my hopes up, said Jamie Edwards. Hugo said the only bad thing I can take away from our last 3 matches is 8 goals conceded. Yeah, that's definitely a concern. You know, if you look at 8 goals in 3 games, you know, you do have to start asking, where did this come from? Because, you know, we were keeping a lot more clean sheets at the start of the season. So, I agree. Yeah, it is definitely a concern. I was doing my preview earlier on for the Leicester game, which is going to come out on Christmas Day. And I made a whole raft of changes in the starting 11, which, again, I hope people understand because we have another game coming up shortly after that against West Ham, which I think will be a far more difficult game. Kamal, such a lovely message, mate. Thank you. Said, hello, Craig. I respect you a lot, sir. I really appreciate your work and I'm grateful to have found a channel like this. I found your story really inspirational. Mate, thank you so much. And I'm glad you found us as well, bro. Appreciate you being in with us and thank you for your support. Salah said after the game yesterday he doesn't have an update in his contract talks. Yeah, but it's more what he didn't say that I found interesting there. You forgot to mention the little smile and all. Look, we'll find out very soon if we're going to get a Christmas surprise on the Salah and Virgil contracts because, you know, we're getting close to Christmas now. So let's wait and see if we get that surprise that we're hoping for. Right, there's a couple of chats I missed out on. Sorry, I didn't see them. My yoke didn't update. Merry Christmas, Craig. In Norway, the Christmas Eve is tomorrow. Hope you'll have a good time in this Christmas period. Same to you, Marcus. And we do our gifts Christmas Eve as well now that the kids are grown up. And that leaves us free on Christmas Day to get stuck into the eating. You know, the good stuff. So yeah, Merry Christmas to you and your family as well, mate. Phil McCracken said, keep up the great work that you do. Merry Christmas, you'll never walk alone. That name always makes me laugh, but in a good way. In a good way, and thank you. And Colin, how are you? Hey, sexy. Thoughts on Kuna as a player? I love him. Yeah, he's one of those players that I can understand people admiring and liking. I just don't know if he's at our level yet or not. I don't know. I probably need a bigger sample size of him in the Premier League, personally, or maybe I just haven't watched enough of him, but he's certainly a player who's in a good moment at Wolves when Wolves have been pretty much struggling. Right, more news. I've got so much stuff to get through tonight. So let's get into some talk around Trent, right? So Lewis Steele has given an update that I think is probably the most upbeat, positive update I've seen around Trent's situation. And it made me feel a bit better about the situation. So let me read it out to you and I'll see what you guys think. Credit Anfield Edition, by the way, they posted this on X and they credited Lewis Steele from the article. They said, reports suggesting that Trent Alexander-Arnold wants to be in the top earning bracket of Salah and Van Dijk are understood to be wide of the mark. He knows his place in the pecking order and a contract decision will certainly not be driven by finances. Now, if that is the case, and of course I hope it is, then it should be a no-brainer at this point. You know, because we've seen reports of him asking for 350, the club offering 250. We all feel somewhere in the medium 250s, maybe even up to close to 3 is doable, but I'd still like it to be closer to 250. So, I like that report because if he does understand that situation, and if he isn't asking for Salah money, then this should be something that the club can get done. You know, if he's negotiating honestly with Liverpool, which I've no reason to believe he wouldn't, great. If he understands that he won't get Mo Salah money, I think that's as positive an update as we can get. Now, it's only positive if he ends up signing, but at least it's not another one saying they're miles away and, you know, there's no breakthrough or anything like that. If he's being realistic, the club are being realistic, yeah, maybe we will see some light at the end of this tunnel. And look, I've said all the way through, I have no idea on Trent. I've been trying to figure it out, trying to even... When I think I'm going one way on it, I tilt back the other way, and I'm back and forth and back and forth. But ultimately, we need him to stay. Let's be honest about it. You know, we got, again, a glimpse of what he's all about in the game against Spurs. That cross in for Lucho's first goal, absolutely exceptional. And that's what Trent can bring. So I hope we get these done, all 3 of them. Nevlin, thank you, mate, for your super chat. With my bro, he subscribed but a mank. Shout out to Ash, please, Craig, and tell him he's making a mistake supporting United and why Liverpool are the best. Well, of course he's making a mistake supporting United, but, you know, I also respect that he's sticking with them and through this difficult time as well. So, you know, when I started supporting Liverpool, I didn't catch the glory era. I came in just when we started to, I guess, falter away a little bit, and it was a long time getting to this league title. So, yeah, happy Christmas, Neville, to you and your brother. Gareth said, Trent's pissing me off and for a bit now. I'm at the point where no player's bigger than the club. So, I get that sentiment, and I've been there back and forth on times about it, but I think the biggest scary factor in all the Trent situation to me has always been the unknown aspect of it. We don't know if his head's tilted towards Madrid. We don't know if he's close to a deal. We don't know. We've got no confirmation. We've also got no confirmation in a negative. But the unknown is worrying, right? So with Virgil and Mo, we know they want to stay at the club. We know they hope to find the breakthrough. We know that they're being realistic. So I think I've just been scared of the potential negative side of the Trent deal, because to lose a player like that for free, it would hurt a lot. So I hope that Trent is getting the answers that he's looking for from regards to the future of the club, the direction of the club, that will be challenging, that we're moving in that right direction, that there will be reinforcements coming in the market, because I'm sure that's something he wants to know about as well. I just wish we had a bit more updates, a few more updates, sorry, a bit more of an upbeat nature from him, because he's a hard man to get a read on. He really is. To read that body language and try and figure him out, it's difficult. Stephen said, Bournemouth are 5th, why would they sell Kirkes? Because money makes the world go round, Stephen. And again, I never once said we're signing Kirkes in January, mate. I don't know when we sign a left back. For me, ironically, I think we can do without a left back till next summer. I really feel that way, because Costas and Robbo, between them, can do the job. But look, let's be honest about it. Bournemouth are flying high right now, but they're not going to be that way forever, I don't think. And Hughes negotiated that deal to bring him in there. So I think maybe sometimes people need to look at Richard Hughes now and give him a tad bit more credit than before, because he's brought that player in to Bournemouth, so he clearly has the ability to spot a player and bring them in. We just want him to start doing that for Liverpool. But I don't know if we get a left back in January. I really don't. I haven't got a clue. Gomez at left back is a shout. Yeah, exactly. Very good point, Jobo. We could absolutely utilise Joe Gomez at left back. So we've basically got three options there. Three options on the right if Trent's around and you include Gomez and Bradley. So for me, you'd almost be getting to the argument of just trying to figure out what's going on with Kwanzaa and is it a centre-back that we might need to bring in alongside the midfielder. But I've said this for a few weeks now. If we get a midfielder in January, that's good enough for me until the summer where maybe we reassess. But if we don't get a midfielder in January, I feel like we won't have learned any lessons from seasons gone by where these things have cost us longer term. Do you think his mind will be persuaded if we win multiple trophies? Trent, I think Ola, it's a bit late at that point, right? You know, because you're talking about winning those trophies and outside of the League Cup, which is March, I think, for the final, you're talking about May time, and his contract's up the month after that, so I don't think you can let it go that long. I've always been of the mindset that it's really risky if we let these contract extensions go into the open market in January, where Virgil, Mohamed and Trent can all speak to clubs outside the Premier League openly. I think Liverpool will... They don't have to get it boxed off by January, but I think it becomes a risky situation, becomes even more risky at that point to me, particularly with Trent. Christian said, what's your opinion on Marmoush? Should we go for him? 100% yes, but in the summer. I love the idea of Omar Marmoush coming into Liverpool, playing a few seasons with Mo, and then let's say Mo finishes up at Liverpool in two seasons after this, Marmoush fully bedded in. And I love it for a few reasons. Same way I like the idea of Kirkes, because Szoboszlai will know all about him from their time together as well with the international team. Same with Mohamed Salah and Omar Marmoush. I'm sure he'd be able to give a glowing reference to Arne Slot about his countryman. So, yeah, I really like Omar Marmoush. But I think it'll be the summer again, because, you know, we're not going to move Darwin on in January. And I think that would be the spot freed up for Marmoush is if we move Darwin on. And that likely is going to be the summertime. So let's check back in on our poll. So we've had 1,400 votes now. So we'll call it on that one because I don't want to keep you guys bored for the entire stream. So the question that we'd asked was, is it January or never for Zubimendi to join Liverpool? And 70% of the people that voted have said, yes, it is January or never. Do you know what, though? For me, I don't know anything about this deal, but I feel like it's dead. I feel like we look very, very, very weak if we keep going after somebody that doesn't want to come. You know, if you tried in January and you got no joy again, holding off to the summer, I don't think we have that luxury. We need this midfielder in January, and for all the excuses the club had in the summer, change of staff behind the scenes, new manager and all this other stuff, we need to get this sorted. They've had enough time now to scout the market, to get their feet under the table, to run the analytics and the metrics, to have a look around, to talk with the scouts, to figure out what Arne needs. No more excuses. Got to get this midfielder done, and got to get it done early. Dave said, Joe Gomez playing well last few games. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, he was the better defender, better centre-back against Spurs. I thought he had a very good game, Joe Gomez. So, yeah, look, Joe's a steady, honest pro. The only time I think Joe's looked a little bit wobbly was when we played Kwanzaa at right back beside him, which, again, I think is understandable because Kwanzaa's form has been a bit up and down this season. If we get all these contracts signed this window, do you think anybody else will come in, said Gareth Barr. My gut feeling is yes. Really, my gut feeling is we will do business in January. I don't think we're going to lose anybody senior in January. Maybe a couple of loans or whatever. But yeah, I really do feel like, because look at it as what's the outcome if we don't? You know, let's say Gravenberch gets injured or fatigued, but let's say injured, and let's say that happens February, March, where you're getting to the nitty gritty of everything, Champions League, Premier League. You risk potentially undoing all the hard work that you've done to get to this position where you maybe top the Champions League format. You're currently top of the Premier League with a little bit of a cushion. You risk all of that over not bringing in a midfielder who suits the system. Now, I should also caveat that by saying there's no guarantee that any midfielder you do bring in would seamlessly just stroll into the team and play like they've been there all their life. You know, different players acclimatise differently, different speeds. But I think it gives us a chance, because we've rolled the dice before. Sometimes we've gotten away with it, other times we haven't. This, to me, will give us a good indication of how hungry the club really are for success. That's my take on the January window. I'm not looking for the sun, moon and stars, but what needs to be done, in my opinion, needs to be done. When does Joe Gomez not play well? He's the definition of a servant to the club. Love the bones of him. I've said all the way through, he's like 1.5 players in the team. He is just, his versatility as a defender is priceless to a coach. You know, being able to play right across that back line. And I don't mean just play there. I mean play there to a very high level. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. And look, Joe's earned the right long term to make a decision on his future. If he doesn't think he's getting enough of a fair shake at Liverpool next summer, I think everybody would understand if he wanted to go to pastures new, because he'll be 10 years at the club and an incredible servant since he came in from Charlton. How many overseas spots do we have? The last count I remember was at least 2, but I haven't checked in, on that one in a while. But yeah, last count I remember there was 2, but somebody in the chat may have the exact number. I just don't have it to hand. Is McConnell and Morton going on loan? Not sure on James McConnell, but Tyler Morton, there's been some talk of Hull coming in to maybe look to bring him in. And there was a couple of other ones that were mentioned during the week. I think that'll be the right move, to be fair, for Tyler Morton, because he needs to play. And he's going to get a handful of minutes at Liverpool. And he's a good, solid player, don't get me wrong. But I think at some point the club need to make a big decision on Tyler Morton's future, whether that is in the summertime after another loan or not. I think loaning him with a recall option in case we become very, very stuck is probably the sensible play. Shannon said, Craig, as David said, we'll sign somebody in January. I mean, no, but he said to me that he agrees that January is the time we need to get this midfielder in. So, you know, I don't like to speak on David's behalf when he isn't here to give his own view on it, but we did record together today and that is up there and we talked about a lot of these topics. So, one more thing actually. If you didn't get a chance to watch the David Lynch video, there's a lovely moment at the end of the video where I wished him and his family a Merry Christmas, but in his response back, he spoke about how he's been blown away by the kindness that you guys have shown going across to his channel. Lovely comments, the subscriber count, the video growth that he's seen. And he credits a lot of it to you guys and, you know, to coming on the channel with us. And it was a lovely moment because I got to see in real time what I know, which is that you guys are absolutely the best community on YouTube football, bar none. And to see that from David, to acknowledge the kind-heartedness and good spirit of you guys, it was beautiful. I felt like a proud dad in a weird way. So yeah, if you get a chance, do watch that video. It's at the end of it, and I feel like he's really enjoying the stuff we're doing with him on Anfield Agenda. So big up to all of you for that, for making him feel so welcome and for showing that support as well. Because we might not always have the same mindset on things, you know, and I keep trying to remind people of this. He's a professional journalist, so he has certain things he needs to do. I'm not. I'm a fan channel. I can run my mouth a bit more. I can be a little bit more ballsy. But he is a good fella. And I really enjoy making videos with him and talking about the club. Craig, are we getting a Jonathan Morley collab anytime soon? I don't know Jonathan Morley, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't know. I've had a couple of small interactions with him. But what I will say is I was incredibly proud of him for the weight loss. He looked absolutely fantastic, and well done to him on that one. But you know what? I think every time I do some type of collabs like that, it ends up that something happens that it becomes a bit of a distraction or whatever. So probably not, but not because of any ill feeling or anything like that. I just want to keep my head down and just do my own thing. Right, more news, because there is a lot to get through today, so bear with me. Let's go with... Yeah, semi-final dates, by the way, have been confirmed for the Carabao Cup. So, I know you probably knew this anyway, but just in case you haven't heard, the first semi-final in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium will take place, the first leg of the semi-final, Wednesday the 8th of January. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff. So, Wednesday, 8th of January, 8 p.m. kickoff. Meaning the Manchester United game that's been played on the 5th won't have to be moved or anything. So we've got United in the league on the 5th. Then we play Spurs in the first leg. The second leg at Anfield is going to be played Thursday the 6th of February. And it's also going to be an 8 p.m. kickoff. So both of those games will be on Sky as well. Interesting insight from Ryan Gravenberch about Liverpool targeting a specific area of Spurs' defence yesterday. And he said... We had a really good game plan. We wanted to keep them on the right side and press the right centre-back, in this case, Dragusin. And it worked. You know, between pressing him, Fraser Forster, they were just all over the place defensively, Spurs. So it was an interesting insight to see that they were targeting Dragusin there. So, yeah, I love these little bits of insights that we get from players now after the game. Because, you know, we see these things on the pitch. We think it, but to know that yes, they were targeting that right hand side was interesting. So they're trying to kind of funneling the area, letting them get the passes to him, and then springing the press. Virgil, on his contract, said there's no deadline at all. We'll see what the future brings. Is there an update? No, but again, I think he's being coy. Right, Arteta. Who wants to not feel sorry for Arteta, but of course he's cry arson. This is what he said, and it is one of the most disingenuous bullshit quotes I've seen in a long time. So on Arsenal's struggles this season, he said this: we started the season with one of the thinnest squads in the Premier League. Is anyone buying that? Because if you were concerned about having one of the thinnest squads in the Premier League, why are you loaning out players like Fabio Vieira and Reece Nelson? That club are just one big excuse. And it's pathetic at this point. Between the deserve to win-o-meter in the fan bases, the constant cry-arsing about everything, do they ever take any responsibility? Or just say, it's our own fault? Because, you know, the way they go on, they're the only team to have had injuries in the Premier League, where there's many other clubs that have had many, ourselves included. But the difference between, I guess, Mikel Arteta and Arne is, Arne found a way. Arne found a way, when we had the injuries, to get the wins. Wasn't always pretty. We've said that on many watch-alongs, but we got the wins. And it's about mentality. And I think they need to look inwardly, because they don't have the winning mentality. They just don't. And you see that in the way that they go about the big games. They're always negative. So yeah, cry me a river. Because you know what? I'd love a 105 million quid midfielder. You know, I'm sure you guys would as well. They brought in Trossard. They brought in Sterling on loan. They've signed loads of players and spent loads of dough. And to talk about one of the thinnest squads it's just self-pitying bullshit. Simon said, fixture list has been kind for a change. West Ham, full week to United, and go strong in the Carabao semi-final and rotate for the FA Cup. Yep. And even the Everton game, mate, being penciled in around February the 11th works well as well. Do you know what, though? It's so... Looking at the league table, let's be honest, how many of you over the last couple of days have had another cheeky little look at the league table with a little smile? Because it makes for beautiful reading at the minute. And I don't even think we've gotten into our full stride yet. There were times during the game against Spurs where I thought we looked like we were just in the zone. We were so good. We were swaggering. We were knocking the ball around. We were running and we were breaking them down at will. I thought we went there with a real swagger and a point to prove after the nonsense of last season between the two dodgy reds, the 96-minute own goal it took to beat us, the goal that was, ruled out for Diaz. But most importantly, because of the celebrations after the game last year, it was like they'd won the league. And I guess that's just a bit of respect in a weird way to us. That scalp meant that much to them. Bringing the players on, laps of honour, all this crap after beating us last year. I think we had something to prove going there yesterday. And do you know what? I want to give Spurs fans credit here. This isn't just me lining up to slag off Spurs fans, because I've been reading a lot of fan pages and comment sections, and to be fair to the Spurs fans, unlike their Arsenal counterparts, they admit they're just a better team. Showed the class yesterday and played Spurs off the park. And I give them the credit for that, because it's about time somebody speaks like that, because yes, we were brilliant and we did play them off the park. And it was nice to see that acknowledged in the Spurs fan base. So well done to those Spurs fans. Do you think we get somebody in January? Yes, I do. Oh, actually, Hoarder put in a super chat saying, are you optimistic on signings in January? I don't know about the plurality of it. I wouldn't say signings I'm confident of, but I'm confident on one. I'm probably a little bit more pessimistic on the left back situation than others are. I do feel like there are valid arguments around not getting a left back in January. And I think with a forward, you're looking at the summer. So for me, the aim going into this window is the midfielder. And I don't know how to approach it from a content perspective, because I don't want to be the lad on here shouting, where's the money, John, on the 1st of January. But I also feel like we shouldn't allow ourselves to get into a position where we're sitting here at the end of January trying to find a bargain again, or trying to hope a club is under a little bit of pressure and suddenly decide to sell. I hope we're decisive and we have a plan and we go in early January and we get the player we want quickly, painlessly, and give Arne Slot as much time as possible to work with them. What else we got? Dave Sharple said, do you think it helps us not bringing in anybody, as we have a team well versed of playing together? So continuity is important, absolutely. I remember Mourinho speaking about the success that he had with Porto and how that success came because they were able to keep those players together for a few seasons. So yeah, continuity is important, but so is adding in a fresh body or two, because it increases competition, puts a new personality in around the training ground as well. Blop said, Craig, you're deluded if you think you can get Ederson in January. So firstly, go fuck yourself. Secondly, when did I once say we're going to get Ederson in January? Be a bit more respectful to me and have a little, just go away, quite simply. You think you get to come in and go, Craig, you're deluded in anything, and back that up with hypotheticals? It's just bullshit. Where did I say we're signing Ederson in January? Show me. Where have I even intimated to we're signing Everton in January? The only one that's spoken about Liverpool still tracking him is Romano. You know, the god that everybody loves to bow down to, but everybody I've spoken to. And in fact, I started tonight's stream by saying I've never been given any encouragement that Ederson was going to be an option under Arne. I literally said it today. So just do one. Honestly, I do one. Adam said, all right, Craig, any chance of an overview so far? So, yeah, let me run through. Well, do you know what? Yes and no, Adam, because I haven't even gone through all the news that I have. There's still loads to get through left. Yeah. So, yeah. I won't leave you short, though, Adam. I'll make sure that you get a recap, mate. But just, you still got more stuff to get through here, believe it or not. Right, Virgil. Virgil's been speaking a little bit about Mohamed Salah in the mix zone when he went through recently. And I like what he had to say about Mo. It's very sensible. And also, it's always nice to get a reminder of how well supported Mo is internally from the players as well. So the numbers speak for themselves. He's a very special athlete. He's done amazingly for the club. And hopefully he can play his best season forever at the club. Stay important with goals and assists and be clinical. But when we need the complete performance from him, he's got to be there. All the defensive work he can put in for us as well is very important. As well as the last line, the goalkeeper. He has to keep going, and I think he will. He's a professional. He's been there. We've been there. So on to the next and next season, I don't know. So I'm going to make a big statement now. And I put out a video about this earlier on, and I'm going to double down on it now. I think we're getting to the territory where we need to start speaking about Mohamed Salah and asking, has he surpassed Henry? I know, on the face of it, when I say that, many of you are going to jump at me, but look into the numbers. Look into the numbers behind it. If you combine goals and assists, he's already slightly ahead of those two metrics. He has a European Cup medal in his back pocket. Arsenal, obviously, in that period, were a really good side. And I'm a big, big fan of Thierry Henry, by the way. I think he's an incredible footballer. And I've always said to you guys, he's one of the few players I would have loved to have been at Liverpool that wasn't at Liverpool. But I think it's a genuine show that we can now talk about Salah in that same breath. And I think it's justified. I know Arsenal fans won't want to hear it, and I totally get that as well. Same way I don't ever want to hear anybody talking about Steven Gerrard and trying to say anybody's better than him. But just look at it. Look at what he's doing. You know, and how many records he's broken. And even this season alone, you know, he's now fourth on Liverpool's all-time goal scoring list. He's the first player in the history of the Premier League to have 10 goals and 10 assists before Christmas. He's putting up fantastic numbers, and they're only going to get better. So it's about time he gets that respect. Because, you know, the Hazard conversation I always found embarrassing. Because he's head and shoulders above Hazard for consistency and everything else. So, yeah, I'd like to know your thoughts on it. Because, you know, it's easy to get carried away, and sometimes I do. But the more I looked into the numbers and that around it, I think it's a fair show. Because Mohamed Salah is that special. Dave said, I hope all 3 contracts get sorted this week, otherwise we're going to be in trouble. I mean, I'm right with you on that, Dave. I guess we're going to find out soon enough, though. I think some of Henry's skills were otherworldly, though. Look, again, not trying to say Thierry Henry was anything other than amazing. He was glorious. A joy to watch playing football. But I think when you look back on people with nostalgia, you get a boost, right? You look back, think of any holiday or anything you've went on. When you look back on these things, they become better. Your admiration for him grows over time. So you've got that nostalgic factor for Henry that we don't yet have with Mo because he's still playing. He's still here. And I think if we talk about Mo in 10 years' time, where he's been out of the game for a while as well, and we look back nostalgically, I genuinely think it's a shout, you know, that he's right up there. Fritz Frank, how are you, sir? Over in Canada, and Merry Christmas to you and your family as well, sir. Thank you so much for that. It's very kind of you, mate. And there's also one other thing that Mohamed Salah hasn't done, which is be a cheating scumbag and handball and deny Ireland the place in the World Cup, which I will always be very bitter about Thierry Henry for. I'm never letting that go as an Irishman, never. So actually, let's stick a poll on it, because I want to see how deluded I actually am on this one. So, 1 second. Right. So, by the way, 1 second, yeah, 1 second, here we go. Cool. So, question I'm going to ask is Salah in the same bracket now as Henry? Simple question, just let me know. You don't have to say if he's better or not, but is he in that same bracket now? Are we neck and neck in this conversation? Because I think we are. Because remember, what we have to listen to from Arsenal fans is that Saka is already better than Mo. You know, that's the crap we have to listen to. When he doesn't even deserve to be in the same breath as Mo. He's a great player, but he hasn't done it yet. He hasn't won anything yet. He hasn't been a difference maker in a big way yet. I'm a big fan of Saka, by the way. I think he's a wonderful footballer. But I find it really disrespectful when those are the type of comparisons that Arsenal fans are trying to make. Because, you know, here's an example for you, right? What if I was to now say to Arsenal fans, you know what? I think Ryan Gravenberch is as good as Vieira. I think Ryan Gravenberch's having as great of career and as big of an impact as Paddy Vieira did in that Arsenal team. So how do you think they'd react to that? Me talking about a young lad who's come in, done really well for us, and comparing him to Patrick Vieira. You know, they'd rightly tell me to do one. So that's how I feel about Saka with Salah. I find the comparisons laughable. Adam, how are you, bro? He said, before I forget, wishing all at AA a Merry Christmas. Thank you, sir. And same to you, Adam, and your family, mate. Mo is best player in the Premier League this season by a mile, said Carlos. So here's a question for you, right? What is it going to take for Mo to get into that Ballon d'Or conversation next year? So what do you think Liverpool will have to do to get Mohamed Salah really like favourite or right up there for that Ballon d'Or next season? Because it kind of feels like this is the year. This is the best chance we have to catapult him and launch him into that conversation properly. Because in the other years, in years gone by, when we had Mane, Salah and Virgil, we split the vote and we almost did ourselves there. Jeremy said, I like how you phrased the question. I think they're around the same level. I think that's the fairest way I can be with it, because I just want Salah in that context, Jeremy. I just want him in spoken about in that way, because I think he's there now. You know, it's a personal preference if you think he's better or not. But I think he's deserving to be in the conversation now alongside the likes of Thierry Henry. Oh, by the way, Sugar, I didn't look at the corner. I genuinely forgot about this. We're only 16 subscribers away from 288,000. So if you haven't, please do take a second, hit that subscribe button and drop a like as well. I completely forgot about the sub count. Right, so win the league and the Champions League, said Nomad. Same for Jay McDonnell. Win the Prem and the Champions League, said Adam. He's already in it. Easily top 3 in the world right now. Lua and Rafa up there too. So I don't think, from what I've seen of Lewandowski this season, he's anywhere near the levels that Mo's at. And I say that as an admirer of Lewandowski, but when I see him, I don't think he's as impactful this season as Mo has been. Is Mo leaving Liverpool? To the best of my understanding, absolutely not. I am very, very confident that him and Virgil are extending. I don't know about Trent. I wouldn't want to steer you in the wrong direction there, but I'm very, very confident that Mo and Virgil will be extended. Alex said, used to respect Arsenal, but not anymore. I thought I was one of the only ones on that, Alex, because I grew up with some Arsenal supporting mates who were absolutely sound and not delusional whatsoever, even during their good period under Wenger. But bar Lee Gunner, who's probably the most, what's the phrase I'm looking for here? Realistic, inward-looking Arsenal fan who can see fault where it's due in his team. Outside of Lee, who, you know, is a great friend of mine, I think a lot of the stuff I'm seeing is delusional, is probably the right word. You know, Lee aside. Somebody keeps asking me about Morton and Dan's. So Jayden Dan's, the honest answer is that nobody knows what's going to happen in January with Jayden Dan's. I think the sensible play would be to keep him throughout the month of January, because you've got the Accrington game. Maybe you can use him in another game or so, and then make a decision towards the latter part of January whether a loan move for Jayden Dan's is the right one or not. Maybe see the draw in the FA Cup goals for the next round and stuff like that. Because I think it's important that he gets some minutes playing, and I don't know if he'll get quite enough at Liverpool this season to get him back into that rhythm, or if the level at the 21s will be enough to keep him ticking over. So yeah, it'll be an interesting call on him, but I think we may see a decision on that made later in the window. And what was the other one you said? Where's the other one you said? Tyler Morton. We spoke about him a little bit earlier on. Almost certain he'll go out on loan, but I think you'd have to have a cancellation clause in that if we had an injury crisis or anything. Ryan O'Driscoll, how are you, sir? Thank you for being a member with us, Ryan. Said, Mo has to be considered in the same breath as Henry. Good, I agree. That's why I brought the conversation point up. But I don't think any Arsenal fans will be giving us this one. I really don't, which, again, I think says a lot more about maybe them. Dan's over Nunes. That's just wrong, Kevin. You know, and I'm somebody who is critical of Dan's, but there is no way that I can sit here and look down the camera at you, mate, and say that if you played both of those for 90 minutes, that Darwin wouldn't have a bigger impact. Because he would. Because it's the other parts of Darwin's game that have improved a lot. His work rate, his running of the channels, his closing down, his defensive stuff. He just is, at this point, more well-rounded than Dan's. Dan's, look, a great prospect, will score goals, but I know people want Nunes moved on, but Dan's needs more experience, more time, more minutes, especially after the back injury. So I just don't think we'd get what we'd hope for if we threw Jayden Dan's in now, you know. And the last thing I'd ever want to see happen is for him to come in now, let's say, after that long out. Let's say Arna gave him a few games and he maybe didn't score, and then people start to write him off, which would again be very unfair, but that's the fickle world of football, and especially with some of the way our fans have been this season, I think keep him out of the limelight as long as possible would be my genuine take on all of that. Ryan O'Driscoll, again, mate, thank you for your super chat. Said, imagine a Christmas present of all three signing on the same day, Mo, Virgil and Trent all together. We can dream. Merry Christmas to you and the AA fam. It should be a reasonable dream, right? You know, I don't see why it's not a realistic one, Ryan. Haryan said, mate, if we don't sign Zubimendi, who do we sign? I mean, it's a very fair question. But the thing about Zubimendi is a simple one for me. He hasn't said he wants to come. You know, and if that's the case, we have to move on because we just don't have time. But who do we bring in? I mean, it's not my job to figure that out with all due respect, but I will have names, of course, that we've thrown around. Baleba, is one name who's been mentioned. I don't know much about Samuel Ricci, but he's definitely a name that's been mentioned. And there will be some other midfielders around as well, but the vibe I'm getting is that we won't be seeing him at Liverpool, because for me, if we wait until the summer, we would look very weak and we'd be running an unnecessary risk. What have we got? Any thoughts on Orkun Kochu? Already played under Slot and his name dropped Liverpool in an interview. Is this the dude that's at Leicester that scored against us? Not Leicester. Who was it? Brighton. Is it him that scored against us earlier on this season? Left back. Is that the one we're speaking about? Not heard his name much. Yeah. So honestly, I haven't heard his name mentioned much. Oh, Benfica. Sorry, Turkish side Benfica. Sorry, getting confused there. I think there's already been a conversation that Arne Slot has told them that financially it doesn't make sense for Liverpool. If I remember correctly, there was something that came up in the last week where he said he'd had a conversation with Arne and the parameters of a deal weren't a feasible one or a realistic one. I don't know if Arne was just being nice and maybe, just saying to him in a nice way, no, you won't be coming to Liverpool. But I'm almost certain there was something about that in the last week or two. What about Ederson, the Atalanta midfielder, instead of Zubimendi? Well, Matteo, I'm not sure how long you've been watching the channel, mate, but he's somebody I've always had an admiration for. But once Jurgen left, I understood that as an option, Ederson is probably not as good a natural fit now as maybe he would have been under Jurgen. And I spoke with David Lynch today on Ederson, and I've also been messaging with a couple of other people, and again, just no inkling in any way, shape or form that Liverpool are interested there, despite Romano saying Liverpool are still looking at him. Genuinely every time, because I want the answer to be yes, right? Because I like Ederson, I think he's a great player, but no, I don't think there's any truth to that at all, which again I take no pleasure in saying because I really like him. Kirkes and a centre-back I think is more crucial, in particular centre-back. Kwanzaa's confidence has taken a hit, said Ash, conceding a lot of goals and Canada injury. I think the argument you've just made there about an injury in Canada and it showing up the stuff at centre-back, the same situation would happen if Gravenberch had an injury. Only I think it would be more pronounced because we have a centre-back in Gomez who can step in and play to a high level. We don't have somebody that can do what Gravenberch can do. Endo can do a job, but not the job. So I would just say, for me, it's midfield. That's the one glaring deficiency that needs to be addressed this January. But look, I understand the shouts for left-back and centre-back as well. Did Mo Salah accept or no? Well, have you seen anywhere that he's accepted? You've probably answered your own question there. Do you see any of us in here celebrating Salah's new contract, or no is the answer. But what I would say is it will happen. It may have already happened, but I think you're not going to be unhappy with Salah and Virgil. They're going to stay. But I maybe English wasn't your first language or whatever, but I just don't like the bluntness of the way they worded that a little bit. Or no. I don't know, mate. I think it's going to happen. Every indication that I'm getting is that it's all positive, but we all wait for the club to make that announcement because we're all on edge about it. We need to sell Kwanzaa. Do we? I mean, you've come in and backed up your first stupid question with a now a gobshite statement, so no, we don't. And what we do need you to do, though, is just find another channel maybe to watch, mate, because you're just being very negative. It's Christmas time, for fuck's sake. Have a Baileys and shut the fuck up. I mean, writing off 21-year-old centre-backs now as well because he's had a shaky start to the season. I mean, for the love of God. I don't get it. And people have the cheek to call me negative. I mean, I think you've got your answer, by the way, because when Liverpool could have gotten Kwanzaa moved on in the summer for a fee that would have probably valued him about 60 million quid, they turned it down. So I think you've got your answer about what the club think about Kwanzaa. Now look, there's a conversation, and a valid one, about why he hasn't performed this season. But to just say, well, sell him now at 21 years of age, I'm just glad people like you aren't running the club, mate. Could the contracts be done and they wait until tomorrow? I hope that's the case. Deirdre Drake Best. I don't know, but God, I hope that's the case. You know, I'd love to wake up on Christmas Day and have a load of messages on my phone and a load of updates to go, they're done, they're unveiled. I mean, what a day that would be. And we're all hopeful of it, but truth is, we just have to wait and see, as annoying as that is. Anthony Avision said, love you, Craig, you're funny as. Do you know, I used to want everyone just to like me, and I used to but I just got to the point now where I think the fickleness at times needs to be called out, because, you know, I've been doing this for 6 years now, and you do the watch-alongs, and you see some people, and they are in the minority. If you're 15 minutes in, you're not winning, they want everyone substituted. We concede one goal and people are saying we bottled the league. It's just, I don't know what they expect. I don't know what, like, I often used to ask myself, is it just that they don't have experience of being in a squad or a team, or understanding that you win and lose together or whatever. It just all seems very, I want everything now and we have to win a quadruple or it's a failure of a season. It's just not realistic. What are your thoughts on Hakan Çalhanoğlu from Inter? Well, one, I don't know what age he is, but I would say he's kicking on there a bit. And look, he's a good player, but I get the feeling he's very settled in Inter. Adam said, Salah said no update. Yes, but you're leaving out a big bit of context there, Adam. The smile. And also, he probably said no update for the reason that he doesn't want Jamie Carragher crying if he does say anything, you know, because he's not allowed. Jamie's told him he's not allowed to stop and talk to the press about his contract, you know. Meanwhile, Jamie's out there telling fans in America that Anthony Robinson probably going to be top of Liverpool's list in January, and he knows damn fucking well that there's no chance in hell Liverpool are signing a 27, nearly 28-year-old left back to come in as the left back heir to Andy Robertson. Yeah. He was grinning like a Cheshire cat. Exactly. It's like anything else. I could sit here and go, let me say something. I could sit here and go, I have a 12-inch penis, and if that was written down, you don't get the context of the wink or the smirk. But if it was written down in black and white and read out to a judge or read out in a court, it would read, what I just said. But you need the context of the whole situation to give it its full, what's the word I'm looking for here? I guess context, yeah, to give it its full the context to give it the context, yeah. Craig, you're a blessed man. Oh, I'm not. Oh, I promise you that would be, like, if I was Pinocchio, I'd be pushing over the screen with the lie there, like, trust me. It is not the case. I was just trying to think of something that was so ludicrous that, to just make my point about the smirk of the wink being the thing that would go out of context. I think, my wife can very much back me up on that one, that this certainly is not the case. Let's move on, though. Joao Pedro. Should we talk a little bit about Joao Pedro instead of my mythical 1 foot long Swing Schwang. So, Football Insider have said Liverpool are plotting move for Joao Pedro. They say that in the report, Brighton are expected to demand £60 million for the 23-year-old, double what they paid for him. And there's also a suggestion that Brighton would prefer to lose him in the summer than in January. So, it's an interesting one. You know, there's a lot to like about Joao Pedro. You'd have to have a concern about some of the injuries and time he's missed. Age profile-wise at 23, again, good age. Experience now at this point in English football and in the Premier League. But at £60 million, when you look around, you see Omar Marmoush for maybe 15 million less than that. I think it would be a far more sensible option to look at Marmoush personally. Right, I think I missed the super chat. 1 second. This one from Hoarder that said racism prevents Salah from the Ballon d'Or. Look, I don't want to get into that conversation, mate. But what I will say is I still think he's massively underappreciated on the global scale, or undervalued by many for what he's achieved and done in the game and how good he is. The reason for that, look, I guess, you know, we could get into it another day. Right, Adam, thank you, sir, said, I feel the closest style to Zubimendi is Douglas Luiz. Can't see it happening, and also Merry Christmas to the Houlden household and the whole AA family. Thank you, Adam. Look, Douglas Luiz won't happen. And we could have had him a few seasons back before I think he'd signed an extension with Villa after that. But when he was at Villa, they were quoting mad money for Premier League clubs, as much as 100 million to look at him. And now obviously he's gone over there to Juventus, and they did some type of swap deal, didn't they, for some of that. Good player though, but yeah, not going to come to Liverpool, as you've said yourself, to be fair. Roy Gangang said, Merry Christmas, bro. Same to you, mate. Thank you, Roy. Same to you and your family. Right, let's check back in on our little poll, where I asked, is Mohamed Salah in the same bracket now as Thierry Henry? We haven't quite got to 1,000 votes yet. We need another 100, but we'll leave it there. And also, 7 subscribers is all we need. 7 people need to hit that subscribe button, and we will get to 288,000. So if you haven't, please do. And also, we'd love you to drop a like and get the stream up to 1,000 likes if possible. My mum wants to know if you have tats on the foot long. No, there isn't a microscope big enough for them to be able to tattoo even my wife's name on there. So, no, you know, you're talking about surgical tools required for, you know, with a very steady hand and a very big microscope. So no tattoo, mate, no. Jason, it's Red's Army. Thank you, Jason. It's gifted 5 Anfield Agenda memberships. Really, really kind of you, that, Jason, mate. Thank you. I like your mum's sense of humour, though, mate. Well in. Oh, Peter Bocco is now gifted 10. So we've got 5 from Jason's Reds. Thank you for that. And then 10 there from Peter Bocco. Absolute legend. Both of you, thank you so much. Rob said, love your tattoos. Thank you, bro. I keep saying, though, my wife's sleeve is better than mine. Oh, I've got a picture for you to share. Right. By the way, sorry to anyone who doesn't like me sharing this type of stuff, but we've talked cookie pie before, right? So today we picked up the entire cookie pie, the Christmas cookie pie, and I'm going to show you the Christmas cookie pie. You ready? 1 second. Look at this sexy bastard. Look at that. One entire cookie pie. Ready to go. That's one big cookie with Nutella in the middle of it, by the way. All ready to go. Delicious. Specially ordered. Shout out to the baker lady. Oh, honestly. That's filled with Ferrero Rocher, Nutella, and cookiness. It's so good. So good. Yeah, that's definitely... It's getting destroyed, lads. I'm telling you, it's getting destroyed. Harry and Singh said, "Yo, Craig, will you join a gym? You'll feel better." So, probably is the answer. I appreciate you looking out for me, but I'm already, despite the cookie pie picture, I'm already on the weight loss journey. I'm 19 pounds into it, but I'm trying to be realistic about what I'm doing, because I need to have my little sweet stuff every now and again, and But thank you for looking out for me. Cornell Lee said, "Craig, I've been a supporter for over 3 years and I haven't got a membership." They're a free membership. It's literally potluck, mate. Like, when somebody's gifting memberships, they don't go through and click on names. It's random. It's just thrown out by the system. So, unlucky, I guess. But it's just a random process. £19 and how long? I think it would be, since I've realistically, probably 3 to 4 months, maybe, since I've realistically made sure I'm cutting down the stuff that I've been eating bad, although still having some of it. About 19. But I've lost £103 before, like I've said. So I know exactly what to do to lose the weight. I've been on that journey before. But yeah, there you are. Anyway, so more news to get through. The Mirror have said, and this I hope is a good sign as well. So the Mirror have just come out and said Liverpool wants to up Trent Alexander-Arnold's wages from £170,000 a week to £250,000 a week, and the Reds want to give him a 4-year deal plus a 1-year option. That's perfect. In my eyes, that is absolutely perfect. That's perfect. Nothing to add. That. Just get that done. That's a perfect number. Dunzo. Yeah, get that done. And I would take that 100%. I would think that was great all around. Paul Vowell said, "What do you think about the fight on Saturday?" I think we need 2 more subscribers, by the way. Come on, folks. Hit that subscribe button. I think the right man won, Paul. I think the judging might have been a little wide. I had it 7-5 to Usyk. But what I would say is, I found the AI scoring very interesting. I know it wasn't used to determine the outcome of the fight, but it was 118, 112 with the AI judge. But the reason I found it interesting was, I wonder if us as boxing fans, and I certainly include myself in this, we look at the flashy stuff, right? We look for the head punches. We look jabs, body punches, these things that the AI algorithm is actually taking stock of is probably something that we in our own human nature don't give as much credence to. So I found that scorecard very interesting because it challenged my perception of how I watched the fight and what I was looking at and what is important. So yeah, I found that one very, very interesting to see that it was a little bit wider again than the judges. Peter Boko said, "Love your content. Merry Christmas from Slovakia." Thank you so much, Peter, and the same to you and your family, sir. I really do appreciate your support and your kind words, mate. Thank you. Right, some more stuff to get through. So Luis Diaz, Florian Plettenberg, so again, take it with a pinch of salt, said, "Despite many rumours, Luis Diaz is currently not planning a move away from Liverpool." Why would he? The only reason I think you can make an argument for Lucho to maybe feel a little bit unsettled is the wages. Because he's on what people believe is in and around 70 grand a week, there or thereabouts. So I could understand him wanting a pay bump, because he deserves a pay bump. But, I don't see why he'd want to go anywhere else, because, Barcelona don't need him. They've got wide players in there, and they've got a young squad coming through. And he's playing at a club that are going to be challenging for all the top honours this season. So, yeah, I want to get Lucho signed up, because I think he's a huge important part of the squad. I love the battle with him and Gakpo on the left. And I just think, his versatility is so important. He was my man of the match, by the way, yesterday against Spurs. I know most people were split between Mohamed Salah and Dominic Szoboszlai. But for me, Luis Diaz was my man of the match there yesterday, because I thought he was everywhere. The goal he scored, the first header was brilliant. The second goal was a really good finish as well. I was just so impressed with Lucho yesterday and his cleverness, and given the centre-back's decisions to make. So taking up positions where he's dropping deeper, and then the centre-back has to make a decision. Do you step out to go with Lucho? And if you do, then you're leaving space for a runner like Szoboszlai to come in behind. If he drags into a wide area, do you go follow him there? You've seen some interchanging as well between himself and Cody Gakpo in position. If Lucho drifted out to the left and Gakpo instinctively took back inside a bit. Yeah, I just thought he was really impressive. Diaz is on 55k a week. He isn't on 55k a week. I've had this conversation with journalists and a few others before. There is a perception out there that he's earning less money than he is earning, but I'm confident that it's upwards of 70. Forever Red, of course you can have a little shout out, bro. Happy Christmas to you. If there's anyone who deserves a pay rise, it's Lucho. I agree. He should be getting, into the 100 plus bracket for me at this point. Craig, is there anything more satisfying than seeing a player you love at another club join Liverpool? Mine were Mane and Wijnaldum. I'm just trying to think if that's happened. I think the closest one to me was probably Fernando Morientes, because even though he was a Madrid player and I'm not a Madrid fan, I've always thought he was a class act, and I was very happy even in the latter part of his career when Rafael Benitez brought him into Liverpool. I'm trying to think if there's been any other ones. So when Luis Suarez left Liverpool to go to Barca, I was very happy that it was Barca he went to. As much as I didn't want him to leave Liverpool, I was, as somebody who likes Barcelona, I was happy he went to Barca. But I don't know if I've had any come the other way. I don't know if I've had any come in that I was admiring at other clubs and then delighted they came in. I don't know. Ella, how are you, my friend? Said, happy Christmas, Craig. You're working Christmas Day. Ouch. Do you know what? I say ouch, Ella, but if I got away with it, I'd work Christmas Day as well. But I'd probably be divorced at that point. Although, don't rule out a cheeky little late stream for me, maybe. But Merry Christmas to you, Ella, as well. I know it's been a difficult year for you. You lost your mum and that. And you somehow started supporting Coventry as well. So life's as a Bows fan as well, Ella. But yeah, much love to you, my friend. Anthony said mine was Harry Kewell, was unreal at Leeds. Oh yeah, I've said before to you that to you guys that when we signed Kewell, I thought, wow, we boxed it off. At Leeds he was phenomenal. Val said, Craig, Arsenal fan, do you think we make signings in January? I don't have a clue, Val, what the financial situation is at Arsenal. And I also don't pay close enough attention to your squad to know what you're in need of, in all honesty. I think you might make a sale in January. There's been some talk about Tierney going back up to Celtic, but I think the big issue Arsenal have now, Val, is that Saka hamstring injury, which was confirmed earlier on today as being one that will keep him out for weeks. Now, we don't have a definite timeline, but news earlier on, the Times said Bukayo Saka is likely to be sidelined for several weeks with an injury to his right hamstring. That's a big loss for Arteta, because, you know, you've seen the impact when Odegaard was out earlier on this season. So to lose Saka, who is the talisman there, I think this is a big problem for Arsenal. I'm not sure why this comment was deleted, albeit it could be for spam. But Anfield Amaze said, Craig, you're my biggest inspiration. Would hope to work with you one day. Just started my channel and trying to become a channel like you. You've amazing work. Thank you. Shout out. Happy to give you a shout out, Anfield Amazed. All I'll say to you is be yourself, have fun with it, and be consistent. They're the only bits of advice I ever feel comfortable to give anybody, because I don't know how I got here. In all honesty, mate, I don't. I'm still trying to figure out why I'm in any way semi-relevant, because I don't see it. But anyone that thinks about making content, do it. Absolutely do it. It's the best decision I ever made, apart from asking my missus to marry me. Yeah. Andre Nielsen said, Arsenal need a striker and possibly a left winger in the summer. Martinelli hasn't been up to the standards last season. Yeah, Trossard is an option there, though, when he isn't up to it. You know, you just look, it's why for the start of the stream we went back and I called out Arteta for this comment, and people who are in a bit late might not have been with us for it, but Arteta was speaking about the struggles Arsenal have had, and he said, we started the season with one of the thinnest squads in the Premier League. And I just think that is such a load of me arse that somebody should have called him out on that. Whoever was interviewing or talking to him should have called him out on that. Because if it's so thin of a squad and you haven't got enough bodies in, why are you letting players go out on loan like Vieira, Reece Nelson and others? And you, like, they brought in players. I don't believe this crap that he has a thin squad. I think that they are just excuse merchants of the highest order that never ever look inwardly. Just always want to just blame everything else, everyone else, and just don't address the big elephant in the room, which is he's too negative as a manager to go and seize a league title. He wants to almost stumble over the line and not lose it rather than go and win it. Yannick said, sorry to bother you, Craig. What are the two players you mentioned in the title? There aren't two players, it was two positions. So there was a report today that said that Liverpool are planning on addressing midfield and left back in the January window. So that was we don't have two names for you. You know, we did speak about Zubimendi though earlier on, and a comment from the sporting director at Sociedad, which I think gives us an insight. So he said Zubimendi has a release clause, yes, but it's always the player to decide, and he's been showing how committed he is to our project. So far, we've seen how he's behaved, and I don't predict any scares in January for Zubimendi to leave. So the point I've made for this stream tonight was that it's now or never. If Liverpool don't get an indication he wants to move in January, I think we need to move on and get the player, because get the player we need in. We can't wait till the summer. You know, that's where we are with this. So yeah, two signings in January have been mentioned. I think one would be enough. Two would be great, but that's kind of where we're at, mate. Reese Warren said, you're relevant because you are your authentic self. Yeah, well, I find it weird if others aren't, to be honest with you, mate, but I think what's helped me is that I'm Irish. So in some ways it hasn't helped me, in other ways it hasn't. And what I mean by why I think it's helped me is Irish people are fairly good at taking the piss out of ourselves. You know, we don't allow anybody to get ahead of themselves or think their shit doesn't stink. You know, we're very good at being grounded and staying grounded on stuff. So I think that helps me, that I'm able to just take the piss out of myself a bit as well. And yeah, I guess I am authentic, but I still don't get it. I don't ever understand it. In saying that, though, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. And also, we need 166 likes to get to 1,000, which would be amazing on the stream. So thank you for that. Ryan Kinsella, how are you, mate? So, Craig, my flight to Dublin is a couple of hours. Spending the holidays with my family. We live in Tipperary. Merry Christmas to you and the family. Awesome. I'm so glad, mate, that you spend the holidays with the family. That's class. And Merry Christmas to you and your family as well, Ryan. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, mate. And I hope 2025 is filled with peace, prosperity and happiness. Richard said, imagine waking up Christmas morning and all three have signed new deals. Best Christmas present ever. Oh, mate. 100% agree. I don't even know if I'd get to the unwrapping part of any gifts or anything at that point. I'd be just straight on the computer going, need to make a video. Christmas dinner can wait. Right, so let's look back in on this one. Right, we've gone past 1,000 votes and we said, is Salah in the same bracket now as Thierry Henry? And 94%, so an overwhelming majority, have said that yes, Mohamed Salah is now in the same bracket as Thierry Henry. Well played. Well, I was hoping that was going to be the case, but I didn't know if I was being delusional or not. But I mean, let's look at some of the underlying numbers, right? Because I have them here to hand, thanks to, I think it was Mike in our Discord group. So we have a side by side here that I can call out the numbers to you. One sec, where is it? Right, here we go. So, appearances. Mohamed Salah's made 279 for the Reds to 258 in the league for Henry. Goals, Thierry Henry just changed it with 175 goals to Mohamed Salah's 172, which of course he'll surpass very soon. Assists-wise, Mo has the edge on Thierry Henry. Mo has 80 assists so far to Thierry Henry's 74. So, if you add them both together, Mo has 252 Premier League goal contributions. Thierry Henry has 249. So really close. And Mo's still playing, still adding to his. I mean, I don't think clean sheets are a metric we can really look at here either. But interesting one for me was yellow cards. I found that quite interesting. Thierry Henry has got 30 yellow cards in his time playing with Arsenal in the Prem. Mohamed Salah's only been given 10. Which I thought was a very interesting one. I don't know why I found it interesting, but I just thought it was. Mary said, we're very thick-skinned and hard to insult. We'd laugh in your face. Exactly. And like I always say, Mary, if we're not taking the piss out of you, it's more of a sign that we don't like you than if we are. You know, we're probably the most cruel to the people we like the most when we're talking about Irish people. Am I going to Spain again next year? Yeah, we're going in March. Myself, actually, the whole lot of us are in the March international break. Myself, my wife, my daughter, my daughter's fella, and my son, we're all going over to Spain for a week in March. And then myself, my wife and my son are going over to Turkey next October for 10 days. So that's the two holiday plans next year. And yeah, holiday, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still humming and hawing about whether we buy this house that we live in or we buy a house in Spain and move lock, stock and two barrels over to Spain. But yeah, we'll definitely be visiting. Do we forgive Henry for his handball against us? No. I don't. Anyway, no. He's forever in the bad books. Rice is in the bad books. Grealish is in the bad books. And there's no change in that for me, mate. I'm that bitter about it all. If there is one player from another Premier League side you wanted to buy, who would it be? Ooh, good question. I'd very strongly look at Odegaard. Would be one player who immediately jumps into my mind. Only problem with that is we probably need somebody a bit deeper than Odegaard. But I've always wanted Liverpool to have Odegaard, even when he was in Real Madrid's B team. I really wanted him when he was 16 even at that point. Who else do I like and that realistically do a job and fit in? Bowen is a good show as well. Is it weird that I wouldn't want Haaland? Is that weird? Because probably should say Haaland but I don't think I'd want them. Yeah, I know that sounds weird because there shouldn't be a no, but I just something about him just doesn't sit right with me. At United, there's not really anybody there. Mainu possibly, but he's not kept up his great form at the minute. Saliba, I wouldn't say no to him coming in alongside Van Dijk, which would be harsh to Canade, but imagine having the three of them as options. Isak's a good shout, but you know what? I'm going to give you an answer that breaks my heart to say it, but in the cold light of day, what we need, the answer is probably Caicedo. Because I just take myself back to when I thought we were getting Caicedo. I was convinced we were winning everything. And you see how he's gotten to the level where Chelsea would have wanted him to be. And I just look back at that and I think that would have been incredible. Having Caicedo now in our team would be absolutely phenomenal with Ryan, or to rotate with Ryan. So yeah, probably Caicedo. Sorry, I'm reading through a couple of comments here. Hi Craig, why move to Spain? Ireland's not that bad apart from the weather. Well, you've answered the question. It's the weather. In the summer, I feel like Ireland's the best place in the world. But in the winter, in the cold, dark, miserable, I find my mental health's not as good. So yeah, I think, and the fact that I've got issues with some of my hands and some wearing of probably going to have arthritis in my hands and jaw, then I think warm weather is where my future is. And Spain's the most likely destination. So yeah, that's why. It's not because I don't like Ireland or anything. Life feels better when you're in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. I just feel like a better person. Come to South Africa. Well, look, we've made the offer. We said, find us the venue, communicate with us, and we will come to South Africa and do a live show. And I've talked to Connor behind the scenes about this. We are 100% up for it. But we just don't know where to do the show. That's all that's stopping us. Joe Gomez as a number 6. He doesn't have the ball playing ability as a number 6. He'd have the defensive nous to play the position, but I just don't think he's the ball playing ability. Oh, here's an interesting one that comes in from Anfield Watch. So Liverpool scouts have been completely blown away by the performances of Nico Gonzalez from Porto. You know, I know nothing about Porto. I don't watch any Portuguese football. But that's an interesting one because it's a fresh name that's come into the conversation around players. So yeah, thoughts? Bobby said, I found out about this page when I lived in Sevilla. Nice. South African weather is unmatched. Oh look, I'd love to visit South Africa, mate. And that offer is sincere. Find us a venue for a show. You know, put us in contact with a group that we know that we can obviously get some bodies through the door, and we'll come to South Africa for a show. It would be a pleasure. Would you do a show in Finglas? The only problem we've had with doing a show in Dublin, Owen, is the price. You know, the venues, we did one in the Sugar Club, but then we looked at another one, and it's just, the costs are scandalous, mate. Scandalous. Like, we were looking at 5 to 6 grand to open the doors in one of them. And that's just not feasible. So, by the way, don't worry about anything if you've missed it, because I'm going to record a recap now in the next 10 minutes. So, if you've come in late, don't worry. There's a recap coming out. I'm going to finish the stream in a minute, and then we're going to go record a recap for everybody, so you can get a nice 8-10 minute bite-sized chunk of what we spoke about. Is there anything else? Right, so I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this or not yet. Can I talk about this? How do I say it? Okay. So, you know the way we're trying to help Joe get his wheelchair basketball chair? We're going to push and carry this on into January because Connor and I are working on something that I mentioned to you guys the other day. We're just going through the legal side I think we've got clearance for it, but our plan is to help try to boost those donations to Joe by raffling away a PlayStation 5 that Connor and I will buy and put up for as a prize. But we're going to continue on into January because I really do want to try everything I can to make sure that we can get Joe that wheelchair basketball chair. So if over the next few weeks or days you win money on a scratch card or something like that and you want to throw a few quid in, there's a link that will be pinned to all of our late night agenda streams for the rest of this month and of course January that will give you the full story on Joe's background, what the fundraising is for, and we'd love to make sure that we can get Joe that basketball chair and raise that £5,500 needed. So if you can do it, be much appreciated. But we are going to also try to, I guess, push it along a little bit more in January. How much will the raffle be? Probably a €5 euro. Again, there's some legalities we still have to get work through at the minute. About like giveaway laws and stuff in Ireland that we just have to make sure that we aren't doing anything that will land us in trouble. Any news on Bajcetic coming back and potentially getting a loan to a different club since Pep's sacking? It's a really good question, Ash, and it's one that I've been asking David Lynch as well, but I think until Salzburg's new coach assesses everything, I don't know if we'll have an answer to it in the short term. Obviously, you want an answer to it before the January window's over, but it is a fair question and one that we do need to keep an eye on because the whole point of him going there is that he gets minutes. Also, somebody's just said here that they've been told David Lynch not David Lynch, excuse me, my apologies, David, that David Coote isn't appealing his termination from the PGMOL. So there's that as well. Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say goodnight to you and I'm going to go record this roundup video. So we'll be out in a few minutes. If you can, please do hit that like button for me. We're so close. We're at 914. We need 86 more to get to 1,000 likes. The good news, at least I hope it is, I will stream tomorrow evening, same time. So if you're around on Christmas Eve, maybe the kids are in bed and you're wrapping up the last few presents or you're putting the mince pies out for Santa or whatever, I'll be here tomorrow night, 8:45. So I hope you can join me for the Christmas Eve late night agenda. And if I don't see you tomorrow, have a wonderful Christmas. There's a preview for the game against Leicester coming out on Christmas Day. I recorded that earlier on. And yeah, much love to you all. Thank you for another great night. And just thank you for being you. Appreciate you. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.